Yeah, no, it was a complete car when I bought it. I bought it as a first-year carpenter apprentice in 1998. It was gunmetal grey, original, 3-speed, drum brakes on the front. It was just a clean car, so yeah.
And was the intention always to go this far with it?
No, never was. It was, I drove it home from one side of Canberra to the other, and I almost put it into a wall when I drove it, because I didn't drive it prior to buying it. He wouldn't let me actually test drive it. So when I drove it from there to home, I hit the brakes and almost peeled into the wall and thought, right, that's not much chop. And then it had a little bit of rust in the tray, and I thought I'll just give that a quick clean up, and then 20 years later it was finished. So yeah. No, it was actually to have it as a work car. It was to be my daily drive for my carpentry apprenticeship. Probably not an overly great choice, but I just love the shapes of EHs ever since I was younger, so yeah. It just gradually evolved, I guess. It was sitting in there, got out of hand, like they all do. It just got out of hand, and I thought, stuff it, let's just go for it. And worst thing I did was I got it painted first. So the panel and paint happened as a gift from my parents, because I had testicular cancer when I was 21. So 2001, their gift to me was to get the panel work done and then the paint job. So it was to keep my mind off what I was going through, and yeah, so it was pretty good thing for my parents to do. So yeah. The colour is called Wine Fire. It's a PPG colour, but the base coat is spearmint green, which is where it's a little different. It's got about 9 coats of candy on the outside. As there was a few mistakes made in the spraying process, so it just sort of got darker and darker as it went. But I actually really loved I actually wanted to paint it black when I first got it, but I went with the candy back in 2001, and yeah, I love it. It's a great colour. So I think that's what makes the shape of the car. So I had a 6-cylinder built for it to start with. It was about a 208 stroke with triples, and then never really got it into the car with a Super 5-speed, and all the boys sort of pulled me aside and said, nah, it needs a V8 in it, and there was no conversion kits really for the EHs when I started doing it. So it was a slow process, and I went with a 308. I know everyone's doing LSs now, but there was no conversion kits for the LSs or anything like that at the time when I was looking at it. And I went with a 308 stroke to 383 with the cum stroker crank in it, and yeah, it was it's a bit grumpier than what I anticipated it would be. So yeah.
And what about gearbox and diff?
Gearbox is a fully manualised turbo 350, and the diff is a fabricated 9-inch with true track centre and billet axles. Yeah. It's okay. It's still got the original front end in it, so it's got a HR front end in it. Sorry, with the disc brakes and that on it, but it's it's not an independent front, so it does track a bit on the road. So it still feels old to drive, but I think that's the appeal about it too. The old Springer seats in it, and the old front end. You're bouncing around as you're driving around, and I think that's a pretty cool thing with the old cars. And people, you always get the older people come up to you and go, their history in the cars and what they had. So yeah, it's okay. It's a little bit. I have to admit, I've never really stepped on it. I've come out of first and been into it then, but never off the line. I haven't flattened it yet. So I'm a little bit. I just don't want to see it go into a gutter, pretty muchly. So yeah, I would send it straight to Paul at ProFlow if I was to build another one. He, when I was down here I went and saw Peter Fitzpatrick, and I was umming and ahhing about putting fuel injection on the motor that I had, and I had about 10 or 15 grand lying around to have a bit of a play with it. And Peter said, stop stuffing around, let's send it up to Paul at ProFlow, who I'd never heard of at the time, and he'll put you on the right path, Owen. So when I went up to, when I met Paul, his boys saw it roll in, and it was obviously painted, and they're like, oh, what are we doing to it? And he's like, oh, full tub, chassis, the whole lot. And they're like, shit, we've got to work around the paint. But no, Paul was great. He had it for about a week and went through everything that he think it needed to get done on it. And what I wanted from him was the car to come back functioning, and it functions. It doesn't overheat. It's, you know, some of that's time at 40 plus degrees, and it was sitting on about 175, 180 degrees. Shifts perfectly. It functions fantastically, and that's all because of Paul. And you know, it's a credit to him. He knows how to produce a good car. So yeah. First, my wife Kelly, or Tipper. My two kids, Owen and Taylor. Who else we got? Mum and Dad for the original help out with the paint and that sort of stuff, which has been hard working around, but it was a very good thing that they did for me back then. Peter and Aaron Fitzpatrick from Fitzpatrick Speedworks. Paul Sant, ProFlow Performance. Trims by Sean. Josh and Sean that did the interior for me. The paint was done by a bloke called David Brown a long time ago, and the panel work was a gentleman called Ray Nelson. Sorry. Who else got? My brother Elliot. He was a good inspiration for me to make me keep getting through it, and probably Harvey Miles, who's an EH bloke here in Canberra, that, you know, he persisted with me and just enabled me to finish the car, because he's just got a great array of parts for EJs and EHs. So yeah. Hi, I'm Owen, this is my EH shoot, and you're watching Killer Rides.